Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope everybody's been having a great week. This week I want to talk about something that's really been on my mind, and it's, can growth and relationships coexist? Like, how do you keep growing into who God's calling you to be, or who you're trying to become, without feeling like you're leaving people behind, right? Because if we're honest, growth changes things, and sometimes it changes us in ways that people we love may not understand. So I went through this the first time when I was 17. I realized that I didn't want to drink, I didn't want to party. And it was funny because it was after I got drunk. I remember that I was sitting in my friend's basement, and even when I was drunk, I was talking about being successful to everybody in that room. And everybody was like, yeah. But they didn't understand, right? They didn't understand where I was coming from. They didn't get it. In that moment, I knew that I had to change, me personally. And that was going to require some separation. So, 2 weeks later, about 2 weeks later, I packed up all my stuff and moved completely out of my hometown without telling anybody, without checking in on anybody. I just got up and moved. And I remember that I was not in my friends' lives in college, or like those 4 to 5 years. I didn't catch up with anybody from my hometown. I kept to myself a lot. The one friend that I think I would have kept up with, we weren't friends anymore. We stopped speaking. So it was lonely. It was lonely when I was going through that transition of growth, but I had to do it, Even though I started to see things differently, I knew that I couldn't stay the same. And other people might understand that, but in my case, I just didn't tell anybody, right? I chose peace over drama, purpose over distractions, and healing over bad habits, right? But not everybody around me was ready for that, like I said. And I knew that I didn't want to lose people because I was growing, but I needed the distance to grow. I needed to align myself to the next section of my life, right? And sometimes it's not that, you're pulling away, it's that you're positioning yourself differently. And it can be uncomfortable at first. But my approach, I don't feel like was the best one. Like, if I would have been 17 and I know everything that I know now, I wouldn't have just missed out on my best friend's college years. I wouldn't have just isolated myself and work. I would have kept my distance, but with healthy boundaries. Because the truth is you can love people deeply and still have different seasons of growth, right? You can be loyal and still have boundaries. You can be close to someone and still need space to evolve. It's not rejection, it's redirection. When we grow, it challenges the dynamic, because people get used to a certain version of you, the one who said yes to everything, who stayed quiet to keep the peace, who carried the weight of things that they, might no longer want to, right? And growth requires us to reintroduce ourselves, not to prove a point, but to honor who you're trying to be, who God is shaping you to be. So if I could go back to that time, I think I would have said, like, hey guys, guess what? I'm 17. I kind of want to try out this thing with this business online. I'm not going to be around as much. I'm not going to be drinking. I'm not going to be, just around the circles anymore. Instead of just ghosting everybody. Like, I feel that's the word that we use now. But I wouldn't have done that. I would have been very communicated. Like, I would have communicated where I was and go from there, right? You just have to be willing to communicate, right? And not be afraid of who walks away, because that does happen. And the truth is that you're not going to go through this once. Every single time that you are leveling up into the next season of your life of growth, you will have to go through this process. And I want to remind you that it doesn't make you a bad person. It's all about communication and putting in the effort on both sides. So, here are 5 to-dos during a season of solitude that helped me go through this, right? So, first, communicate with love, not defense. You don't owe everybody a full explanation, but you do owe clarity to people who matter. You can say things like, I'm just in a season of growth right now and I need some space to focus on that. Because when you lead with love, even distance can be understood. And people are going to respect you for that because you're being open and you are valuing that person. So you're saying like, hey, I'm in this season right now, but I still want you to be in my life. It's just I'm not going to be around as much. Communicate with love, not defense. Number 2, set boundaries that honor your peace. Because as we know, boundaries are not walls. They're doors that open only where peace is protected. You can't grow if you're constantly in chaos, right? So be okay with saying no without feeling guilty. I felt like this was the hardest one for me. I was always used to being the yes girl. I wanted to be everywhere with everybody. I wanted to be friends with everybody. And once I started healing, I came to realize like whatever I'm saying yes to means that I'm saying no to something else. And that something else was me. I was putting myself in the back burner, my goals, my aspirations, who I wanted to be, the things that I no longer wanted to do, right? The things I wanted to work on, the business I wanted to build. So I just became okay with saying no and realized that it's a healthy boundary because I'm no longer putting myself last. And the people that love me will understand that. Number 3, for me, it's to stay grounded in my faith. So when I was alone, the enemy was trying to make me believe that I was forgotten. He would put things in my mind of like, oh, you don't have no friends. Look at you, you're doing this again. The people that you have now are going to leave you. Again, because when I was 17, I did it the wrong way, right? But now, the truth is that my friends, I love my friends. I was blessed with my friends. They're an answered prayer for me. And I can't be afraid of distancing myself from them if I'm ready to grow again, right? It's just not true. So I would spend time praying, journaling, and letting God refine my thoughts. If you're not a person of faith, though, this could be you sitting in silence in a corner in your room or somewhere around your house with nothing around you. Do not have any distractions. Do not have your phone. Do not have anything. Just you and your thoughts. Sit in silence. Because this will help you be okay with yourself. At the end of the day, you have to be okay with being alone. Because when you're alone and you're lonely, that's a bad mix. But if you're alone and in love with yourself and understand what you're doing, you kind of become unstoppable because you're okay with not missing out. Number 4, you have to surround yourself with growth-minded voices. This was a big one for me in 2023, 2024. So I finally became aware of the fact that I needed mentors and I needed leaders that were 10 times further than where I was to grow. I needed to listen to people that have already gone through the steps, are already at where I want to be later on in life. So this was big for me. So I got mentors for everything, and it has been the best decision ever. I still have them, the same ones. It's been 2 years, and I can't complain. There's so much growth and healing that I've done. I highly recommend that you get a mentor. But if you can't afford one, right, you could do it through podcast, books, YouTube, right, obviously. But just make sure that the voices that you're listening to match the direction you're walking in. Because iron sharpens iron. It keeps you focused. It keeps you motivated at some point. It gets you excited because you realize that people have done what you want to do and it's possible. It's like it's no longer, oh my goodness, can this be done? It's people have done it and I have the blueprint. So just make sure that you're, filling your mind with good things and that you are surrounding yourself with the things that you're trying to become, right? And the last one is to let go with grace. Not everyone is meant to walk every season with you, and that's okay. All right? You can bless people as you release them. This was the biggest thing that I learned in 2024, is to release people. I remember that I used to be so afraid of losing friends, and I think it comes from when I was 17, right? I was so afraid of making somebody upset or having a hard conversation just because I thought that they were going to leave my life. But when you bless people as you release them, you are pretty much saying like, hey, I enjoy you in my life, but if you are taken towards a different direction, may God bless you and you have a beautiful life, right? Because when you let go in peace, you make space for more alignment. You make space for the new people that will come into your life, the new friendships that will carry you into the new season. And the coolest thing is that if you've been friends for long enough, you realize that your dynamics change. It's so beautiful when you get to grow with people throughout your seasons of your life because you get to see where they were. You get to see where they're trying to go. And then while you're trying to figure that out yourself, the dynamic of the friendship changes. And it's beautiful. And we all adapt and we make time and we make effort and we make it work. Like right now, all of my friends except for two are like 10 minutes away from me. Everybody else is in another state or 2+ hours away. But we make it work. We have FaceTime. We catch up whenever they're in town. It just takes effort and the dynamics change, but you have to be willing to accept that and be okay with them changing because reality is you guys will love each other deeply if you go through the different seasons in life and you don't give up. Because also, I don't want you to take this and say, oh, Abril said it was okay to just make a lot of space. Like, no, boundaries, healthy, right? Because the difference between Abril now to when I was 17 is the fact that I don't work. Back then it was like that. But now I realize that life is about enjoying it. So it's not whether I work on my business or I hang out with my friends. It's I work on my business and I get to make time for my friends. There's a big difference there. But just know that the dynamics with people, with anybody, will change all the time. You just have to be willing to work on it. And as always, right, as always, I leave you guys with a Bible verse. This week's Bible verse is in Amos 3:3, and it says, "Can two walk together unless they are agreed?" This verse reminded me that relationships need alignment to thrive, but don't have to be perfect. Just have to have a shared direction and be willing to work on it. Because if one person is walking towards healing and the other one is choosing comfort, the distance you feel isn't disloyalty. It's difference in direction. And sometimes God will test your willingness to grow, even if it means walking a little differently for a while. So don't forget that God works all of the things for good. And you're not alone, ever. You will always have the Lord. So, if you're in a place right now where you're feeling torn between growing and keeping the peace or, staying the same, I want you to hear this. You're not doing anything wrong by growing. You're being obedient. You're allowing God to stretch you. You're allowing yourself to get out of your comfort zones. You're letting God refine you and prepare you for what's next. The people who are meant to be in your next season, they'll meet you there. They will. And the ones who don't, you can still love them, bless them, and release them without guilt. Because real love doesn't require you to stay small. And real growth doesn't require you to walk alone. So, this week, ask God for wisdom in your relationships. Pray for the grace to grow with love, not bitterness. And if this spoke to you, share it with someone who's navigating that same tension between love and becoming. Because the truth is growth and relationships can coexist when love is rooted in God and not comfort. You were meant to walk the earth with other people. And that is the most beautiful thing that the Lord has created. Because remember, he said, go in twos. Anyways, I love you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, if you have somebody in mind that might need this, share it. Put it in your stories and tag me in them. My tag is 89094. I would love to hear about you. And thank you again for being here. Don't forget that the Lord loves you. See you guys on the next one.